Friday. So I'm going to do that again today. Hey, Sarah, good to see you. Welcome in. Oh, I need my headphones on or I won't be able to hear guests. What am I doing? Let me plug this in. And I also look naked without them. Hey, creative. Hey, black guys. Welcome in. Welcome in. I will be. Can you guys hear me okay? Everything good? I hope everything's good. I want to put, I feel like I'm always looking like up now because my camera is up there now. I don't know. So when I do the playbacks, I feel like a lot of times the view is of me like this because I'm looking at my screen down here. So I think I need to raise my chair up. But frankly, I don't know how. You have to be smarter than the chair. And I am not. Anyway, so I'll have to ask Doug when he gets home. Because I don't want to break the mechanism that raises my chair. So, since I don't know how to do it, I'll just ask him. But can y'all hear me okay? Is everything good? Everything going okay? Can anybody answer me? Can you guys hear me? Somebody answer me. Let me know. If you don't answer me, I'm going to assume you can't hear me. That's what's going to happen. Thank you. Thank you. Yesterday we had a problem with sound, so I want to make sure that y'all can hear me. Okay, I am going to do an Auntie sermon like I did yesterday. I do have to leave like right before 1 p.m. Pacific time today because I have therapy today, and it's an imperative one. It really is. So let's see who is next on our list. I want to go here. I think we did Bill Hart yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. So let's go look at my list and see who is next today. How's everybody doing? Jixie plays, no, I actually don't believe in the devil either. Can I ask you a question as a believer? Why do you think that people who don't believe in your God believe in your devil? I'd really like to know that because to me that seems like weird. Like, I don't know all of the Greek pantheon. Like, I probably couldn't tell you any of them. So, but if I don't believe in one of the Greek pantheon, I actually don't believe in any of them. So, yeah, I'm a non-believer. I'm a non-believer of your God and your devil. You see what I'm saying? Like, I don't believe any of your story. So I don't worship the good one or the bad one because I don't worship, because I don't believe in imaginary things. But if you want to talk more about it, why don't you come over to TikTok? The guest box is open. I will have a way for you to call in really soon over on YouTube. I just don't have that available to me yet. We're getting there, though. I don't think that the Bible does make you good and great. I think it's a Bible that lets men do atrocious things and excuse their behavior for it. Hey, Jackie, how are you? Good to see you over there, Agent 47. Welcome in. Welcome in, Kelly James. Welcome in, everybody over on the TikTok. Let me get things ready for... Oh, today we get to do Dinah. And you're going to hear me call her Dina a lot because that's how you actually pronounce her name in Hebrew. So we're going to do Dina today. Let me get that going. Let me get the sermon pulled up, and I need to make sure I have a proper intro for her. Hang on 1 second, okay? All right. Getting this. I keep forgetting that I can open up my laptop over here and be able to see you guys if you have to tell me something over on the Discord too. I'm not used to having all this technology. Okay, let's see what's going on. Yeah, we're going to do one of the well-known women today. Also, if you're friendly and you want to come up and hang out with me while I do the sermon, I always like that. Makes me feel more comfortable. And let's see. Gods don't exist. The foundation of a god is a creator. So technically aliens could be our gods. Who created us? I don't believe we were created. I believe we're just a bunch of processes that came together, and we're kind of narcissistic because we think we're special. All right. I am going to pull up Reaper. I think I need to go into a 3-way mode with these things. And then I'm going to open up Reaper over here. Okay. What? That's not what I said. I want you over here. All right. I'm getting it all set up. If you are okay, I've got a guest coming up to hang out with me. I hate how long it takes to accept guests over on TikTok Studio. Like I click on it and it takes forever. Hey creative, how are you?
I'm doing good, thank you.
All right, I'm getting this all set up. I'm trying to make sure I have Discord because the other day y'all were trying to tell me stuff and I forgot that I could have Discord open. I used to not be able to have all these things. Okay. All right. By the way, if you have to tell me something on Discord, if you do it in my Discord, in my general chat or something, then I'll be able to see it. You're spoiled for choice. What? Okay, I won't be able to see you guys chatting right now. Creative, if there's something that I need to hear, let me know. I'm going to go ahead and get started on today's sermon. So what I'm doing is recording my podcast while I read the sermon to you guys. So you might hear me. I might mute. And by the way, let me know if this mute is working. Okay, I'm going to try right now.
Just right quickly. Yes, I can at least. Before we start, we're listening to sermons, so you guys can be tapping while we're listening. That always helps. And don't remember to share out the live, share with friends, and if not, you can always hit that little blue button, which will share it out. Oh, I can't hear you anymore.
That's perfect because now I know I can mute if I need to cough or make a horrible hacking sinus. Because sometimes I just have to clear myself so that I can, enunciate clearly and stuff. And it's probably just my OCD. Oh, before I start, we have a guest. I'll go ahead and bring him up first. We'll talk to him real quick and then we'll get into the sermon. Okay. I don't want to turn away a guest. George,
Yeah,
welcome to the show. Can I get your age and your pronouns, please?
21 and age. Pronouns.
He, him,
him.
she. Okay, he, him. And what did you want to talk about today? What's on your mind?
Yeah. So, as a fellow atheist that you are, would you say that we essentially evolved from apes?
I think I am an ape. I'm a great ape. We all are. Humans are great apes.
All right. So, would you say that we live in the planets of apes?
No, I don't think it
I
belongs
thought we were great
to
apes.
apes. Yeah, we are great apes. It doesn't belong to us. We live on the planet Earth, and it belongs to all of the living beings that belong here, that live here, that are a part of this ecosystem.
But how is it that we are the one that owns the most land and build the
Because
most centuries of those living things?
because we decided that since we had the means and the ability to do it, that we were not going to give a shit about any other living creature on this planet, and we destroyed most of it for our own selfish gains.
So would you say that apes that are in zoos should have the same equal status that we have today? Because obviously they're still in the process, but haven't fully reached maturity.
So I think that first we would have to talk about what I feel about zoos. And I don't think
Zoos?
that zoos are ethical unless they are there for conservation or to save an animal that is injured, but then they should not be monetized.
No, but would you say that they should release the apes into society because obviously they are technically our cousins?
Why would we put them in society? Why wouldn't we put them where they live and where they, are prosper?
I know, but
Why
why
would
not
I
give
put
them
them in
status in
society?
society?
What
Why
what
not give them
status would
status
we
in
give
society?
them? I don't understand what you're
Um,
saying. First of all, not all apes have the ability to understand our society. So I don't know why we would integrate them into our society any more than why I would go live with a bunch of tigers. I
okay,
believe
would
that
you?
different animals have to live in different places because that's where they prosper. That's where their food is. That's where their shelter is. That's where they are natively from. And I think that we should quit fucking with all the animals. How about that? How about we stop doing anything with them and let them live and let live?
Mhm. But would you say that we're animals ourselves?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, we're animals.
Okay, so why not invite other animals to our communities,
Do we
such
not?
as,
Do we not
the
have
apes?
cats and dogs and other
No,
domesticated
but I'm
animals?
specifically like the apes. Like they are our cousins in
Again,
your point of view.
why would an ape come live in a house when that is not their natural habitat? Animals have shown us they don't want to live like us. When we try to capture them and force them to live with us, they have shown great amounts of depression, great amounts of hostility and anger.
But I thought
I
we were
think we
cousins.
should let it does. We can't. So what? What does that have to do with anything? You know what? I have a cousin and he's a fucking dick. He's a MAGA. He is a fucking asshole. He's a bigot. He's a racist. I don't live anywhere near him because of such things. Just
But at
because
least he's
something
free.
is somehow related. Okay, and let them live free where they prosper. Wherever an animal is originally from in their own habitat, in their own ecosphere, that's where they should live.
Would you
Not in my
classify them as
house.
pets? Hypothetically, would you classify them as pets if you had money, or essentially human beings like us in the process of obviously evolving to our
The
maturity?
I would like to say one thing. Apes are not evolving to become human beings. That's one, like,
What?
that is
Are you
not.
dissing on my cousins?
You know,
That
I'm
has
sorry.
nothing
I
like,
don't think that
yeah.
you're genuine, and I was about to do something else, so we're gonna go ahead and do the thing I was about to do. I know nobody gave me a drop gift and everything, but he just wants to be like weird. He's literally going, I'll come up with a really good argument. Apes should live with humans if we're apes. Okay, dude, that's not how it works. Okay. That's not how anything works. But I'd rather get to Dina today. So I'd rather not center a man who doesn't understand how these things work. Hang on 1 second. Can you go ahead and take over for 1 second?
No problem. I can't wait to talk about Dina. I obviously I like Dina because I've read, reread, and listened to the Red Tent about a million times. Um, but yeah, Dina's an interesting one. They all are interesting, though.
Oh, I gotta let my kitty out. I'll be right back.
That is important. We need to let the kitty out when the kitty wants to go out.
Why do you always say this right when I start?
Because it wouldn't be fun if he didn't. Or she didn't.
Okay. Oh, 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 oh. Okay, I'll try one more time. This is a different person. I don't know if they'll look. Hi, Breeze. Welcome to the show. Can I get your age and your pronouns?
Well, stay. 26. I see you guys choose your pronouns. Let me participate. He, him is fine, I guess.
Okay, great. And what did you want to talk about today? What's on your mind?
Yes. As an atheist, can you actually judge anything since you don't believe in a judge? It's all personal, right?
I don't know what you mean by that. Like, as in judge what? Can I judge a
Judging,
beauty contest? Probably,
yeah.
but I wouldn't because I think women shouldn't subjugate themselves to beauty contests anymore, even though I used to like them. Can I judge? Can I
Good or
judge an Olympic thing?
bad?
No, probably not. I don't have the
Ethics.
experience.
How about ethics? Good or bad?
Yeah, I think that the fact that believers think that people who don't have a God have no morals or no way to judge a moral, they're actually very disingenuous or ignorant.
Okay, so you believe morality is objective, like everyone can know it, right? Good or bad?
Objective means mind independent. Right.
Yes.
I don't believe in objective morality, although I've heard very good argumentation for why objective morals can be based in and grounded in things like logic. And so actually, I think I don't give a fuck. I think nobody can prove objective morality. Therefore, I don't give a fuck.
Okay.
I know
So
murder's bad. I know raping's bad. And if you think it's okay, then I think you have a problem with your morals.
Can we say because you feel like it and you don't have any other answers, just like your favorite color? I feel like black is good. I feel like pink is bad.
No,
type
it's
thing? Is it
not
a
based
feeling?
on feelings. It's based on
Okay.
empirical evidence because we can measure harm.
Okay, I thought harm was subjective. What
No,
makes
it's
you
not.
think
It's actually
we feel the same
measurable.
way?
It's actually
Okay.
measurable.
You think going to the gym is harmful?
Again, we can measure harm. So actually, it depends. Like if I went to the gym right now, it would harm me because I have a torn meniscus, a Baker's cyst, and arthritis. So I would do more damage to myself than I would be doing good if I went to a gym right now.
Okay, so
But you
long-term
might do
harm.
good if you went to a gym right now because you might be able to do some aerobic exercises and maybe work off some of this aggression you have.
It's painful though. It's harmful. When I lift the weights,
No,
they hurt my
pain
hand.
and harm are not equal. They are not the same
Okay.
thing.
Okay, so let's define harm. What does that word mean? Harm.
I don't know.
Is it a
Let's
feeling?
Google that. Let's Google that.
Discomfort, suffering, pain. What are we talking about? Sounds extremely personal, that word.
Well, I think
Yeah, you
words
said,
have definitions, so we'll look it up.
yeah, it's hard to measure how someone feels though. Some people
Again, I
bullshit.
think words have definitions, so we'll look it up. Okay.
Yeah, but
Okay.
feelings are
According to the
subjective.
Oxford English Dictionary, harm
Yeah.
is defined as physical or other injury, damage, or hurt caused by a person, event, or action. It can function as both a noun, damage or injury, and a verb, to hurt, injure, or damage.
Yes. So when I lift a weight, I hurt.
You're not
I feel
damaging
pain.
anything. You might feel
But-
physical pain, but you're not damaging something. Now, if you
Okay.
damaged it, that would be harm. If you
Okay,
didn't
so
lift
when
that
you-
weight
when you say
properly.
damage, I don't understand what you mean by damage.
Oh, okay.
You
Let's
mean
look up
long-
that word too. If we're going to play semantics, let's do it all the way through.
You got to be precise when you're judging things, like an expert. Don't you
I
think?
think that you're not an expert, and I think that you don't get to judge me, and that's what you've been doing since you got up here.
I'm saying without God,
Just
anyone
saying.
cannot judge anything. It's just blowing off
I
steam,
know
in my
you're
opinion.
saying that, but you have no evidence for that. Let me prove to you that you have subjective morality, okay? I'm going to
Okay.
do it, and then I'm going to drop you down because I'm about to do a sermon on Dina. But here it is. Ready?
Whatever you like.
If
Yeah.
objective morality were true, then you, because you have a God, would know everything of whether it is morally right or morally wrong. I would be able
What
to
makes you
ask you a
say that?
question, and immediately you'd be able to tell me because you have objective morals. So,
I'm not God.
what is a
I'm a
God?
human.
Well, then you don't have objective morals. So,
That's why I
because
said God has objective
yeah,
morality,
you
not
don't
human
have
beings.
them, and neither does your God. He changes his mind. Okay, we're going to get back to Dina because these pedantic arguments are so boring to me. And we have to define every freaking word. Oh my God, it's so boring. It's so boring. Yes, Ibris, go tell everybody that critically CrystalJae has nothing. But then also, can you tell me, is it morally right or wrong for me to use AI? I'd like God's fucking answer on that, okay? Can you get God to tell us whether we should continue with AI or not? And then show me objectively where he tells us what to do about that. Objectively, okay? Because God gave you objective morals, so you should be able to figure it out without your fifis. All right, back to what I'm doing. Okay, so like I said, I'm going to go ahead and start now. I'm going to and so you know what I just realized? I can't tell whether guests are created or not. Hi, Ace. How are you? Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and start. I will be doing an introduction, then I'll stop for a second, and then I'll be doing the main sermon, okay? And you will hear me repeat myself. You might hear me laugh. Sometimes I even leave funny messages to myself on the recording because I have to listen to myself later. So you might hear me say funny things, but give me just 1 second. I'm going to clear my throat real quick before I begin. Can you hear me? I hope nobody can hear me right now. Because if you can hear me, I'm fucked. Okay. Okay, there we go. I forgot. I have to turn off the sound from the computer. Otherwise, I hear myself back, and I can't do that. I don't know if anybody else is like that, but
Wait,
I can't
we-
listen to myself back while I'm talking.
We can,
Okay,
we
here
can
we
hear
go.
you double now.
Ready? Here we go. Oh, godless pianist. Good to see you. Welcome in. Welcome in.
Crystal,
Here we go.
Crystal, we can hear you double now.
Today, we're talking about one of the most disturbing stories in Genesis. And yet somehow it is almost never preached from the perspective of the woman at its center. You probably know this story as the rape of Dinah. But I don't think that's actually the story we've been taught. This is a story about what happens when a woman's body becomes someone else's property, someone else's politics, someone else's excuse for violence. Dinah is violated, but that isn't where the story ends. Her voice is taken. Her grief is taken. Even her story is taken. Today, we're going to put Dinah back where she always belonged, at the center of her own story. All right. That's the intro. Alrighty. So I want to tell you something.
Crystal,
Sometimes I rewrite these and you get an extended edition. And you'll probably get an extended edition of this one because after I wrote
Crystal.
this one, Rabbi Hannah even gave me more info on Dinah. And you're going to hear me call her Dinah. Okay. That is the correct pronunciation. Hang on one second. I can't use NRSVUE things, so I have to change them all to the web because the NRSVUE is copywritten. I need to select all. Why can't I? Okay. Hang on one second. I need the Bible verses in the web edition for copyright reasons. So I have to do that real quick because I know I used to write it with the NRSVUE because it's my preferred, version of the Bible. All right, here we go with the actual sermon now. Hang on, go back up to the top. All right, ready? Here we go. Take one. It'll be a million times I restart, I promise you. Genesis 30:21. Afterwards, she bore a daughter and named her Dinah. Dinah's introduction is brief because it isn't meant to explain her. It's meant to position her. The verse places a name into the story long before it tells us what that name cost her. The text plants her here and trusts the reader to remember her when judgment finally comes due. And that judgment is already embedded in her name. Dinah is the feminine form of the Hebrew word din. Din is not a moral concept, it is a legal one. It refers to a dispute, a verdict, a judgment rendered by those with authority. This is courtroom language, not character language. And the feminine form matters. Her name does not mean that Dinah herself will be judged. It means that judgment will happen through her. She is not the one standing before the court. She is the case the court will use. From the moment she is named, the story signals this. What happens to Dinah will not end with justice for her. It will become the mechanism by which others decide guilt, punishment, and righteousness. Dinah is not judged. Dinah is the judgment. Okay. Whenever there's a verse, I will always kind of pause awkwardly because I have to pull up a different app to read that verse real quick. So here we go. Every time Dinah is named. Genesis 30:21. Afterwards, she bore a daughter and named her Dinah. Genesis 34:1. Dinah, the daughter of Leah, Dinah, the daughter of Leah, whom she bore to Jacob, went out to see the daughters of the land. Genesis 34:2. Shechem, the son of Hamor, I'm sorry, let me say that again. Shechem, the son of Hamor, I don't know how to say that. Let me get the phonetic spelling of these names. I am really bad at Hebrew names. Hope you guys are having a wonderful day. And what's wrong on Discord? What are you trying to tell me over on Discord? I can't listen to that right now. Echo on TikTok? You guys have an echo? Okay, hang on. Let me figure that. Thank you. I think that's an OBS thing. Tell me if this takes care of it. Is it done? Is it gone? I'm gonna it's not gone. I can't mute anything else. Okay, hang on. I might have to start over because I don't want it echoing on my podcast. Okay, hang on. I'm going to try something else. What else could be? Oh, let me see something. Is that it? Did that work? Did that change anything? Okay, I'm good on YouTube. I'm just echoing on TikTok. Okay, how about now? I have 2 live microphones. I shouldn't. I only show one on my TikTok. Let me see. How do I fucking get rid of that one? I don't want to. Okay, am I fixed? Am I fixed? What the fuck? Okay. I'm accepting a guest. I hope they're coming up to help me. Are you coming up for help? Hello? Guest? Dumpster wizard? Oh, I'm muted now. Fuck. I muted myself. Okay, I'm sorry. Oh, no. Okay, but I am fixed, right? Okay. I'm going to go back to muting myself. Okay, we're going to start over. I am so sorry, you guys. I am so sorry. Nobody, like, y'all told me after I had already started. I'm so sorry. Okay, we all good? I don't know why I can't see my chat now. I want my chat window back the way it was. And now it came up with all this other stuff. Okay, I don't know. I don't know where my chat window went and why this live performance thing keeps popping up. I clicked many things. Okay, so first I went and clicked my OBS desktop audio and muted that. And then I went into TikTok studio audio, and you told me I had 2 microphones. And so I saw that the secondary microphone was my camera. And I think I turned that off too. I think that's what I did. Okay. All right. If you guys don't mind, I want to just do a start over. Okay. So I have to go back up a little bit. Okay, here we go. Ready? Take 47. Okay. Today, we're talking about one of the most disturbing stories in Genesis, and yet somehow it is almost never preached from the perspective of the woman at its center. You probably know this story as the rape of Dinah, but I don't think that's actually the story we've been taught. This is a story about what happens when a woman's body becomes someone else's property, someone else's politics, someone else's excuse for violence. Dinah is violated, but that isn't where the story ends. Her voice is taken, her grief is taken, even her story is taken. Today, we're going to put Dinah back where she always belonged. Today, we're going to put Dinah back where she always belonged, at the center of her own story. All right, was that good? Can I keep going? Oh, well, I didn't know it was fixed, so I did whatever else too. So hopefully I haven't fucked everything up now. But I do know that I can't see my chat anymore in my TikTok studio fucking window, and I don't know how to bring that back. Let me see. Open another chat. What does that mean? I don't even know what that means. I don't know. Anyway, okay, it's all good. All right, everything's good. We're going to move right on then to the actual sermon. Okay, ready? Genesis 30:21. Afterwards, she bore a daughter and named her Dinah. Dinah's introduction is brief because it isn't meant to explain her. It's meant to position her. The verse places a name into the story long before it tells us what that name will cost her. The text plants her here and trusts the reader to remember her when judgment finally comes due. And that judgment is already embedded in her name. Dinah is the feminine form of the Hebrew word din. Din is not a moral concept, it is a legal one. It refers to a dispute, a verdict, a judgment rendered by those with authority. This is courtroom language, not character language, and the feminine form matters. Her name does not mean that Dinah herself will be judged. It means that judgment will happen through her. She is not the one standing before the court. She is the case the court will use. From the moment she is named, the story signals this. What happens to Dinah will not end with justice for her. It will become the mechanism by which others decide guilt, punishment, and righteousness. Dinah is not judged. Dinah is the judgment. Every time Dinah is mentioned. Genesis 30:21. Afterwards, she bore a daughter and named her Dinah. Genesis 34:1. Dinah, the daughter of Leah, whom she bore to Jacob, went out to see the daughters of the land. Genesis 34:2. Shechem, the son of Hamor, the Hivite, the prince of the land, saw her. He took her, lay with her, and humbled her. Genesis 34:3. His soul joined to Dinah, the daughter of Jacob, and he loved the young lady and spoke kindly to the young lady. Genesis 34:5. Now Jacob heard that he had defiled Dinah, his daughter, and his sons were with his livestock in the field. Jacob held his peace until they came. Genesis 34:13. Jacob's sons answered Shechem and Hamor, his father, with deceit, and spoke because he had defiled Dinah, their sister. Genesis 34:26. They killed Hamor and Shechem, his son, with the edge of the sword, and took Dinah out of Shechem's house and went away. Genesis 46:15. These are the sons of Leah, whom she bore to Jacob in Padan Aram, and his daughter Dinah. All the souls of his sons and his daughters were 33. Job 2:9. Then his wife said to him, do you still maintain your integrity? Renounce God and die. Now I'm going to explain that Job verse in just a little bit. For some reason, my document keeps scrolling all the way back to the top, and I have to re-find my place every time. All right, sorry about that. I need to do a do-over again. What did I do now? Did I do something wrong? Okay. Hopefully we're good. I'm not going to do another do-over. We're all good, right? Okay. Synopsis of Dinah's story. Dinah's story is contained almost entirely in Genesis 34, but it begins earlier and ends without her voice ever being heard. She is introduced at her birth in Genesis 30:21 as Dinah, the daughter of Leah and Jacob. Nothing else is said about her until she appears again as a young woman. In Genesis 34:1, Dinah goes out to visit the women of the land. This is the first action attributed to her in the text. Shechem, the son of Hamor, sees Dinah, seizes her, and lies with her. Ancient Hebrew does not have a single word that translates to rape, so the text describes the act instead. Seizing signals force, meaning seizing signals force, and that meaning is carried by the action itself. This is the same way Scripture handles other crimes. There's no direct word for murder, only unlawful killing. And we understand what that means. The absence of a modern label does not soften what happened to Dinah. After the assault, Shechem expresses a desire to marry Dinah and asks his father to negotiate with Jacob. Here is how I read what happens next. I do not think Jacob or Dinah's brothers were primarily outraged because Dinah was harmed. I think they were enraged because the man who raped her was not an Israelite. He was an outsider, and he had damaged what they considered to be their property, their daughter, their future wealth, their standing. While Jacob and his sons negotiate, Dinah is not removed for her safety. She remains in Shechem's house. Her body becomes the leverage. The text only tells us that Dinah is taken out of Shechem's house after the massacre, which means that during the planning and negotiation, she is left with the man who raped her. None of this is centered on her care. None of this is about her healing. It is about money, honor, and disgrace, about the fact that someone from outside the tribe touched one of their women. Marriage is proposed not as restoration for Dinah, but as a way to resolve a boundary violation. The demand that emerges is circumcision. The outsiders must become physically marked like Israel before intermarriage can be permitted. The text attributes this proposal to Dinah's brothers, but it arises from within Jacob's household, and Jacob does nothing to stop it. I do not read his silence as neutrality. I read it as consent. The men of the city agree. Now, picture what happens next. Not as a distant Bible story, but the way you remember the Red Wedding from Game of Thrones. At the Red Wedding, Robb Stark believes the conflict is settled. The alliance is restored. People are inside, unarmed, eating, drinking, laughing. Music is playing. Guards are relaxed. Hospitality is assumed to be protection. Then the signal comes. The doors close, and safety turns into slaughter. Genesis 34 moves with the same rhythm. Circumcision in the ancient world was not symbolic. It was debilitating. Days of pain, days of swelling, Days where movement hurts and defense is slow. These men are not on guard. They are recovering. They trusted the agreement. They are home, off, alert, laid up. The ancient equivalent of being flat on their backs with ice packs between their legs and no expectation of a fight. This is not two armies meeting in battle. This is vulnerability exploited on purpose. Like the Frey and Bolton men drawing hidden blades among wedding tables, Simeon and Levi move through a population that cannot defend itself. No warning, no duel, no chance to prepare. Trust is the weapon that makes this strike possible. Celebration at the red wedding turns into terror in seconds. Negotiated peace in Genesis 34 turns into bloodshed just as fast. Only after the city is destroyed do the brothers take Dinah out of Shechem's house. Only after vengeance is completed is her body retrieved. The text still gives us no words from her, no fear, no relief, no anger, no grief. When Jacob finally speaks, his concern is not centered on Dinah's assault. He rebukes his sons for endangering the family by provoking surrounding peoples. The problem for Jacob is fallout, not harm. Dinah disappears from the narrative. Her final appearance is in Genesis 46:15, where she is listed among Jacob's children who go to Egypt. No further commentary is offered on her life. Dinah's story begins with her being named and ends with her being counted. In between, her violation becomes the pretext for calculated betrayal and slaughter, while her own voice never enters the record. Okay, I gotta take a drink here. How we doing? I hope everything's good. I hope we're good. Okay. Rabbinic teaching, victim blaming, and why it still matters. Rabbinic teaching about Dinah does not speak with one voice, but a disturbing pattern emerges in how some midrash handle her story. Instead of asking what was done to Dinah, some interpretations focus on the phrase, she went out, as if movement itself were wrongdoing. Her presence, not the violence against her, becomes the moral question. The harm done to her is quietly reframed as the result of her behavior. Some midrash go further and shift blame backward onto Leah, suggesting that Dinah inherited a tendency to go out. In these readings, responsibility slides away from the man who seized her and settles in responsibility slides away from the man who seized her and settles instead on female movement, female visibility, and female autonomy. That is victim blaming. At the same time, rabbinic discussions often devote far more attention to evaluating the actions of Simeon and Levi than to the harm done to Dinah. The debate centers on whether the men of the city were legally liable, whether collective punishment was justified, and whether the massacre was lawful. Dinah's pain is not the focus. Her consent is not the focus. Her safety is not the focus. Her violation becomes a legal prompt and a moral excuse, not a human crisis. These interpretive moves did not stay in the ancient world. When religious tradition asks, why was she there, instead of why was she harmed, they teach communities. Let me read that again. When religious traditions ask, why was she there, instead of why was she harmed, they teach communities how to think about sexual violence. They teach whose behavior is interrogated and whose is excused. They shape how judges, pastors, and leaders weigh harm. That logic is still with us today. Not long ago in Canada, a young woman walked on. Not long ago in Canada, a young woman walked into a courtroom seeking justice after she had been raped. And what she got was something worse than silence. The judge, who was supposed to hear her case, asked her why she didn't just keep her knees together, suggested that sex and pain sometimes go together, and referred to her throughout the trial as if she were the one accused. Every question he asked was steeped in the very logic that minimizes violence against women. That interrogates the survivor instead of the perpetrator, that treats fear and trauma as if they were competent. Let me try that again. I'm sorry. Every question he asked was steeped in the very logic that minimizes violence against women, that interrogates the survivor instead of the perpetrator, that treats fear and trauma as if they were competence failures or personal responsibility. The humiliation of that process was so blatant that the judge eventually resigned, but not before the courtroom made the victim feel like she was on trial for her own assault. That reaction did not come from nowhere. It comes from the same pattern we see in Dina's story and the culture that have It comes from the same pattern we see in Dina's story and in cultures that have grown up around texts like hers. Systems that minimize violence, that prioritize protecting institutions and perpetrators, and that spend far more energy worrying about the conditions of the survivor than about the violence done to her. When we ask a woman why she went somewhere, why she didn't fight harder, why she didn't behave differently, we are not seeking truth. We are repeating an ancient pattern of blaming the victim and exonerating the powerful. And that is the same logic that left Dina voiceless in her own story. When you victim blame, you don't just misread an ancient text. You re-victimize real people in the present. Dina is judged twice, once by the violence done to her, and again by the interpretations that refuse to center her harm. That is not ancient history. That is present day. Christian teaching and the myth of male retribution. In much of Christian teaching, Dina's story is reframed as a story about retaliation done on her behalf. The focus is placed almost entirely on her brothers. They are cast as strong, decisive, and justified. Their violence is preached as understandable outrage, proof that when a woman is harmed, good men will rise up and make it right. This is how the story is often made to function. Dina's brothers become the heroes. Their anger becomes righteous. Their violence becomes protective. And that reframing does important work. Women are taught often indirectly that this is why they need male authority, because men are the ones who will handle things. Men are the ones who will avenge. Men are the ones who will respond when women are harmed. And because men are framed as the protectors, women are told they must remain submissive, obedient, and under male covering to be safe. But that is not what the text shows. Dina's brothers do not remove her from danger. They do not ask her what she wants. They do not seek justice for her healing. They leave her in the house of the man who raped her while they plan. They use her body as leverage. They carry out violence that has nothing to do with her recovery and everything to do with male honor. Christian teaching often calls this vengeance for Dina. The text shows vengeance for men. And here is where the contradiction becomes impossible to ignore. Christian theology later teaches that love is not vengeful, that retaliation belongs to God, that violence is not redemptive, that anger does not produce righteousness. Those teachings are preached clearly and often, but when it comes to Dina, Christian apologetics quietly suspend them. Suddenly, violence is reframed as protection. Suddenly, vengeance is recast as love. Suddenly, male rage is treated as moral. And Dina disappears again. This time, not just from the story, but from the theology built on it. This story is not used to teach care for women. It is used to reinforce male authority. And the lesson women are left with is not safety. It is silence. History and comparison to Dina. So here's what we need to notice about Dina before we leave her. A woman is violated, men react, and the story gets told as if it is about justice, when it is really about what men do with the violation of a woman. That pattern does not begin in Genesis, and it does not end there. It shows up again in one of the most influential, I don't know why I said it that way. It shows up again in one of the most influential stories in Western history. And her name is Lucretia. Lucretia comes from Roman tradition, preserved most famously by the historian. Okay, hang on a second. I have to read hard names now, so I have to read them first. Okay. Okay. Lucretia comes from the Roman tradition preserved most famously by the historian Livy. Do I have to say like the rest of his name? I don't understand. Like if I'm supposed to say Titus Livius. Okay, let's just say that. Most famously by the historian Titus Livius, and later retold by the poet Ovid Naso. Ovid Naso. Whether every detail is historically verifiable is not the point. The story functioned as a foundational myth for Rome. It explained why Romans believed they were and why their political systems changed. It explained who Romans, never mind, I'm sorry, I got to reread that. It explained who, I'm laughing at myself, sorry. It explained who Romans believed they were and why their political system changed. Lucretia is portrayed as the ideal Roman woman, faithful, modest, disciplined. The kind of woman patriarchal cultures praise because her virtue reflects well on the men who own her reputation. She is targeted by Sextus Tarquinius, the son of Roman king Tarquin the Proud. Tarquin the Proud. Sextus enters her home under the protection of hospitality and status, and then he forces her. After the assault, Lucretia does something Dina never gets to do in the biblical text. She speaks. She summons the men of her household, her husband. Oh my God, all these names are going to be really hard. I'm sorry. Collatinus, I'm not going to read his full name. She summons the men of her household, her husband Collatinus, and her father Lucretius. Let me say his name again. And her father Lucretius. She tells them what happened. She demands that the perpetrator be held accountable. And then, operating within a culture where a woman's worth is tied to sexual honor, Lucretia kills herself. Not because she is guilty, but because her society taught her that shame belonged to her body, not to the man who violated it. And the men take her death and turn it into a political weapon. A relative and ally named Lucius Junius Brutus uses Lucretia's violated body and death as the rallying cry to overthrow the monarchy. The Tarquin kings are expelled. Rome becomes a republic. Lucretia's suffering becomes Rome's justification Lucretia's suffering becomes Rome's justification for revolution. Now watch how closely this mirrors Dina. Dina and Lucretia, the comparison. First, a woman is violated and men turn the violation into a public cause. Dina's rape becomes the justification for massacre. Lucretia's rape becomes the justification for revolution. Second, the center of the story is a woman's body, but the outcome is a man's agenda. Dina's story ends in tribal violation and political fallout. Lucretia's story ends in state formation, new power, new legitimacy. Third, justice is narrated as a male action, not female restoration. Oh my God. I'm sorry, hang on. TikTok thought I wasn't here. I really don't know what they want fucking people to do. You know what? My head moves when I talk. You know what I mean? So I don't even know how long I wasn't being listened to on TikTok, but I'm going to go back just a little bit. We'll go back to third. Okay. Hang on, there's somebody in my guest box. I'm gonna bring you up again, Creative. Sorry, I can't hear you though. You are right when I do this because I mute my earphones. Because okay, all right. I'm gonna go back to third, you guys. Okay. Third, justice is narrated as male action, not female restoration. In both stories, the question is not, how is the woman healed? The question is, what will men do now? Fourth, honor drives everything. Dina is treated as defilement that must be answered. Lucretia is treated as dishonor that must be cleansed, even if it costs her life. Fifth, voice changes the details, but not the pattern. Lucretia gets to speak and is still used. Dina is never allowed to speak and is still used. So when we move from Dina to Lucretia, we are not changing subjects. We are exposing a reoccurring script. Patriarchal societies do not need women's voices in order to use women's pain. They only need women's bodies to become symbols. Dina was called judgment because her story became the mechanism for male judgment. Lucretia becomes the foundation myth because her story becomes the excuse for a new nation. Different cultures, same bargain. A violated woman becomes the story men tell to justify what they were already willing to do. Returning to Dina and taking her back. So we come back to Dina because this story is always taught as if it is about her. And it never actually is. Christians tell this story as vengeance for Dina. The text shows vengeance for men. This is stolen. I'm sorry, I don't know what's wrong with my reading. What is stolen? What is stolen is not her safety. What is stolen is not her future. What is stolen is not her sense of self. What is stolen in the logic of this story is male property. And Dina never escapes that frame. Her voice is never heard. Her strength is never named. Her fear is never acknowledged. Her survival is never centered. Even the violence done in her name has nothing to do with her healing. Can you imagine what it took for her to survive that house? Because the text tells us something devastating if we let it speak plainly. If we let it speak plainly. Dina remains in the house of the man who raped her while men negotiate around her. Jacob hears what happened and remains silent. It is her brothers who speak, plan, and act, and she is not warned And she is not warned. She is not removed. She is left there alone with a man who violated her while decisions are made that will use her body as justification. Can you imagine what that felt like? The abandonment, the fear, the confusion, the realization that the people who should have protected you decided something else mattered more. And this is the kind of violation women are expected to accept. And I need to be clear. I'm not talking about the rape. I'm talking about the erasure. Dina is violated violently. And instead of being given a story of reclamation, the men take her story from her. They speak over it. They repurpose it. They turn her pain into their plot. Her grief, her fear, her endurance, her survival are never allowed to belong to her. She does not even get to be the subject of her own suffering. That is the violation women are taught to live with. Not only harm, but silence. Not only trauma, but disposition of our own stories. Dispossession of our own stories. Dina never gets to reclaim her body, never gets to reclaim her name, never gets to reclaim her voice. She is handed over first to her rapist and then to history as a lesson for men. And that should make us sick. That should make us sick. Because what her brothers care about is not that their sister was violated. It is that their property was defiled. And Dina never stops being property in this story. Not to her attacker, not to her brothers, not to the traditions that interpret her. Even God, whether through Jacob's rebuke or through the narrative's moral frame, uses this moment not to restore Dina, but to correct the men for how they handled their vengeance. The lesson is not you failed your sister. The lesson is you made us unsafe. Dina is not the concern. Fallout is. So what do we do with that? We stop pretending this story is about her. And then we do something harder. We refuse to let that be the end of it. We refuse to let that be the end of it. There is a DC Comics superhero named Dinah, the Black Canary. She is powerful. She has a voice that can shatter walls. Her scream is not something men weaponize. It is something that belongs to her. And I don't know if the writers ever thought about the biblical Dina when they named her. But I know this, and by the way, just for y'all out there, Dina and Dinah is the same name, okay? But I know this, the Dina of Genesis deserved that power. She deserved that voice. She deserved to be more than a prop in a man's story. So this is how I choose to end this. Not by redeeming the violence, not by excusing the men, not by pretending the text is kinder than it is, but by refusing to let Dina stay silent. Because maybe the most faithful thing women can do with stories like this is not accept them, but name the theft, grieve the loss, and then take our stories back. Dina deserved better. And so do we. And for some reason, I think I have that poison. Oh, I'm going to read. You might hear me reread that whole section because I think I rewrote it. So we come back to Dina because this story is always taught as if it is about her and it never actually is. Christians tell this story as vengeance for Dina. The text shows vengeance for men. What is stolen is not her safety. What is stolen is not her future. What is stolen is not her sense of self. What is stolen in the logic of this story is male property. And Dina never escapes that frame. Her violence is never heard. Her strength is never named. Her fear is never acknowledged. Her survival is never centered. Even the violence done in her name has nothing to do with her healing, because the text tells us something devastating if we let it speak plainly. Dina remains in the house of the man who raped her while men negotiated around her. Jacob hears what happened and remains silent. It is her brothers who speak, plan, and act. And she is not warned. She is not removed. She is left there alone with the man who violated her while decisions are made that will use her body as justification. Can you imagine what that felt like? The abandonment, the fear, the confusion, the realization that the people who should have protected you decided something else mattered more. And this is the kind of violation women are expected to accept. And I need to be clear, I'm not talking about the rape. I'm talking about the erasure. Dina is violated violently. And instead of being given a story of reclamation, the men take her story from her. They speak over it. They repurpose it. They turn her pain into their plot. Her grief, her fear, her endurance, her survival are never allowed to belong to her. She does not even get to be the subject of her own suffering. That is the violation women are taught to live with. Not only harm, but silence. Not only trauma, but dispossession of our own stories. Dina never gets to reclaim her body, never gets to reclaim her name, never gets to reclaim her voice. She is handed over first to her rapist and then to history as a lesson for men. And that should make us sick, because what her brothers care about is not that their sister was violated. It is that their property was defiled. And Dina never stops being property in this story, not to her attacker, not to her brothers, not to the traditions that interpret her. Even God, whether through Jacob's rebuke or through the narrative's moral frame, uses this moment not to restore Dina, but to correct the men for how they handled their vengeance. The lesson is not you failed your sister. The lesson is you made us unsafe. Dina is not the concern. Fallout is. I was talking recently with Thinker and Mama Bash about this story, and Thinker said something that honestly stopped me in my tracks. This is not the only time text and tradition victimize Dina. Outside the Bible, in later Jewish tradition, not scripture, not canon, but interpretation, there is a claim that Dina became the unnamed wife of Job. There is a claim that Dina became the unnamed wife of Job. And if that tradition exists, then Dina's suffering doesn't end in Genesis. It is not resolved. It is multiplied, because Job's wife is a woman who loses everything. She loses 10 children in a single day. She loses her home. She loses her security. She watches her husband's body break down under divine permission, and she is never given a name. If Dina is placed into that role, then her story becomes unbearable in a new way. A woman brutalized in Genesis is reimagined as a woman crushed again in Job. And when she finally speaks, when she gives voice to what any human being would be thinking, when she says, "Curse your God and die," tradition does not hear her grief, it condemns her. She becomes a cautionary tale, a warning about faithlessness, an example of what women should not say out loud. So instead of being given justice, Dina is given theology. Instead of being given healing, she is given endurance. Instead of being allowed anger, she is punished for honesty. If this tradition exists, it does not redeem Dina's story. It proves the pattern. When her silence in Genesis was not enough, interpreters gave her more suffering. When her body was not enough, they took her voice. And when she finally spoke, they turned her into a lesson about gratitude in the face of abuse. So what do we do with that? We stop pretending the story is about her, and then we do something harder. We refuse to let that be the end of it. There is a superhero named Dinah, the Black Canary. She is powerful. She has a voice that can shatter walls. Her scream is not something men weaponize. It is something that belongs to her. And I don't know if the writers ever thought about the biblical Dinah when they named her, but I know this. The Dinah of Genesis deserved that power. She deserved that voice. She deserved to be more than a prop in a man's story. So this is how I choose to remember her. We will remember Dinah not as the silence in the story, but as the power they were afraid to let speak. And when we say her name, we will not think of what was taken from her. We will think of the voice we will think of the voice she always deserved. A voice strong enough to break walls. A voice that could not be ignored. A voice like a canary's cry, clear, fierce, and free. If they never let Dinah be the hero of her own story, then we will remember her that way now. Loud, unapologetic, and finally heard. And that is today's Auntie Sermon. Okay, let me unmute myself. All right. I need to say this. Okay, wait. Now I can go back like this, and we're like this, and we're like this. All right. Okay. I hope you enjoyed that. What are your thoughts? If you have any thoughts or questions, or you want to tell me how egregiously I just gave that sermon, the guest box is open. Come on up. I will be live for about an hour. I don't know. This woman sucks at exegesis. Oh, I suck so bad because I read Bible verse and told you the whole history of it and told you, you guys don't have to, you don't have to mute somebody because they told me I suck. Oh, it is gross. All of it was gross. Hey, Tiny, how are you? Welcome in, welcome in. Are you talking, where is the story of Dinah in the Bible? Yeah, it is in Genesis 34. Thank you, Silly Goose. I appreciate it. Thank you, Cuddle. I really appreciate it. If you haven't done so, go check out Auntie Sermons, the podcast, everywhere you listen to podcasts and everywhere you used to listen to sermons. I am going through the Bible chronologically and methodically and giving a sermon for every woman named or unnamed in the Bible. So it's quite a project, and I'm finished writing all the ones for Genesis, but they haven't all been recorded or put on my Spotify or whatever. Hey, Eddies, welcome in, welcome in. Yeah, if you don't believe in God, you obviously don't think about anything. That's such a logical statement, RJ. I think it's funny how you just come in and say the most illogical things, and you think they're zingers. You think they're real zingers, and they're just so funny. It's weird that a person who would apologize for the grape of women in the Bible, who would apologize for how your God condones slavery, would ask an atheist if they have a conscience. That's weird. I haven't finished the red tent yet. You know what? I started it and I got busy with, well, got sick, got busy, had many things that happened recently. And then I had to return it because there was a waiting list. So I'm going to check it out again and I will try to listen to it. You guys give me huge lists of books to read. And right now I have a problem with, my OCD is causing problems with my ability to read is really what it is. So yeah, silly goose, these stories, like sometimes I cry when I'm reading them. I do, because as a woman who was raised in Christianity, I believed these women were real. So going back through, I've talked about this before. I grieve the loss of them as real people because it's almost like a death to me now. As I go back through these stories, I first have to grieve the fact that I now have to come to terms with the fact that most of these people are not real. And I also grieve all of the women who throughout history have been affected by these stories and how we were taught them. How we were taught to see that story as loving brothers who went in to save their sister. That's what we are taught. And when you reread it, you go, wait, that's not what is fucking going on here at all. What the fuck? You know? And so I grieve that as well. And then obviously I grieve the violence of all my sisters out there who have literally, even to this day, suffered because of these stories and the way they are told. You know, RJ, the prompt is for people who want to come up and join the show. Okay. I'm not going to sit here and answer all of your questions. I will do that for people over on the YouTube because they don't have a way to come up yet. And I don't have super chats or anything yet. So when people over on the YouTube ask a question, I do tend to answer it. But if you want to talk to me, you're going to need a request up. It's wild to me that they think subjective means invalid. So we don't get to say we don't get to say on morality because we see it subjective. I don't know. Yeah, that is really weird to me too. Like, and the guy proved it today that it's objective. He's like, God has objective morals. So you don't. Then what are you talking about? If you cannot tell me objectively whether a moral conundrum is objectively good or bad, you don't have objective morals either. And when I bring up some very nuanced moral dilemma, they can't ever tell me because they would have to tell me their own feelings. And that means their morals are subjective. Don't use all caps. I don't care if your Jesus is a king or if your Jesus is a cook. I do not care. Okay. But don't use all caps. Those are for my mods only. Thank you. Yeah. Silly Goose says, yeah, I just glazed over all the women's pain. The fact that a mind can put these words on paper, the God of control. Absolutely. And and listen, women are taught to glaze over that pain too. And because of it, we end up glazing over our own pain. Like we end up minimizing it, you know? But if you are a Christian or a believer of the God of the Bible, the guest box is open. You guys, I need my likes to go up. We only have 18,000 likes. Let's get those up. Make sure you're sharing out the live. If you haven't, go ahead and send your heart me now and then go up and collect your teen points. I also have a gift goal here today. I won't be able to stay an extra hour today. Like I said, I've got therapy, so I cannot stay an extra hour today. But if you meet the gift goal, I will do an extra hour next week for you. I might go live this weekend too. I'm trying to go live more often now that I have this setup. It makes it so much easier. Even if I have little hiccups at the beginning, like with the sound and stuff, it didn't take long for me to fix it. It used to take me I used to give up, to be honest with you. I used to just give up. Wait, are you, you know what? Why does a Christian always have to go to some bigoted stance? Why? Why do they always bring up the LGBTQIA? It's as if they go, it reminds me of a bully who's like losing in a fight, so he turns around and punches a child. Because he can't, win the fight he's in. So he's like, see, I am big and bad. And he punches as a kid. Thank you. I love that so much. I love the bubble headphones. So immediately RJ has to say, like, aren't all atheists? Like, so RJ, you've earned a block. RJ has been blocked. I don't need a bigot in my chat. I really don't. Even if all atheists were in the LGBTQIA, what the fuck does that have to do with whether morals are subjective or objective? What the fuck does that have to do with it? Why do you go right to trying to insult somebody, thinking that saying that we're gay is an insult in the first place? It's not. Who gives a fuck? You know what? We're going to find out one day that everything is a spectrum, that all your black and white thinking has done nothing. It has advanced us in no way. It has created so many schisms. It has made so much hatred. It's done nothing. We're going to find out love is a spectrum. Gender is a spectrum. Everything is a spectrum. What are you going to do then when you find out that you're gay too? What are you going to do then? You going to damn yourself to hell? Like so many of you do? And I really think that's one of the biggest problems with Christians is they have so much hate in themselves because when they turn to this book teaches them to hate themselves. In this book, no matter who you are, you can find something that God hates about you. And that should tell you everything you need to know about this book. It is not holy, it is not divine, and it is not loving. It teaches supremacy. Even though the Bible isn't true, parts of the Bible, some stories are based on real human experience. It's just awful to think women back then had such horrible lives. Exactly, Rainbow Ash. And that is why sometimes it's really hard. And I really do end up, like going through a lot of emotions when I'm writing these sermons and then when I read them back. Sometimes I have to read them back before I go live because I need to check my emotions a little bit because I think, am I going to cry, if I read this? Hello. Yes, I can hear you. Wait. They're saying they can't hear you. Can everybody not hear her or only Diane? You can't hear them either. Now what the hell? What the helly? Okay, try now. And then tell me if there's an echo on TikTok after this.
I don't have an echo right now, but I don't know if anyone hears me or not.
Okay, you guys, I just changed something. Can you hear her? Nope, still can't.
No.
Hang on. It's just me. It's just me and my settings. Give me a second. Let me
Take your time. It's good. Like that, you can figure things out.
Can you guys hear her now?
Hello, hello.
Is there an echo now? They can
Yay.
hear you, but do I have an echo? No echo. Okay, we're good. Okay,
Wonderful.
I think that I turned off extra stuff when there was an echo. Y'all had me panicking. I just started turning everything off. Okay, I'm
And
sorry.
you couldn't hear me. I
Right,
tried to tell you. I was like, there's an echo, and chat could hear me, but you couldn't.
Right,
so-
I have to turn you guys off when I'm recording so that my recording doesn't pick up any feedback or anything, if that makes sense. Okay, so I have to, because whatever comes through my headphones could be picked up by the microphone. So I have to turn you guys completely off when I'm doing the recording. But luckily, y'all were talking to chat, and I looked over and I saw, oh, I need to check Discord and everything. So it all worked out. So repeat what you just said, because nobody could hear you but me.
Yeah. What I was saying is I like looking at what was actually going on at the times these texts were written, or supposedly the times they're talking about in these texts. And it's astonishing how throughout history, I think it's very much a habit of men writing history and then taking women out of it, or saying, well, women were only doing this and they were just at home and just obeying us, and I think very often it's more a question either what's going on in the higher status kind of areas rather than what's everyday life and everyday people, because we find traces of women working, of women having property. I was watching this documentary about Pompeii where supposedly Roman women were at home and didn't have property. This woman had a whole bathhouse and like a huge, huge house in Pompeii. So this is not what we hear about it,
No.
but when we look into it and what we find is women had a place. They were existing. There were female deities. And so finding that out and trying to figure out, well, these women that these stories were written about and completely changed what their life would have been. What was the actual reality of it? And that also gives me not faith, but like gives me hope. And I just think it's very, as much as what you're doing, I also like doing that other step of looking at what these women were, who they were really, and not just what was said about them or what we were made to believe through what men wrote down.
Exactly. That's why I like looking back at the rabbinical teaching, the Christian teaching, and then the extra biblical teaching. I like to look into that. That's how, I always get Rebecca and Rachel mixed up, not because of who they are, but because of their names and their relation, they're mother-in-law and daughter-in-law or whatever, but I end up getting them mixed up. But, that's how I found out that Rebecca's mother, is it Rebecca's mother or Rachel's mother? Rebecca's mother owned her own home. Like the father's not there in that whole scene when they do the marriage negotiations. So I really get tired of Christians coming up and saying, well, if the woman didn't marry her rapist, she wouldn't have a life. She couldn't, she would be destroyed. She'd have no hope. Women had professions. Women had jobs. Women owned properties. Women, first of all, midwives during that time was primarily a woman run a profession, and it was not only a medical professional but a spiritual professional, and they were held in very high regard. Women could be midwives, you know what I mean? So what are you talking about? I really hate when they come up with that narrative that women wouldn't have anything if it weren't for a man. It's not true.
I also think all of the Levitic laws and these laws that when we look and we know they were written way after the supposed times where they were being put into action. I mean, Judaism as we kind of know it or what we think of it, it's I think around 100 to 160 years before basically Jesus is when it really becomes what we think. It doesn't go back thousands of years. Before that, we're talking about polytheism or having one kind of major god and then other ones next to it, but which is exactly what Yahweh was at first. And it's just, I think a lot of the laws also show what people were doing. Like, if you have to have a law for people to be not having men wearing women's clothes and women wearing men's clothes, it tells you something about the fact that people were probably doing that if they had to make a law about it, or all of these laws. And you're like, well, you don't have to make a law if people aren't doing that. So this idea of it didn't exist, or it's just really, really, is that why you're making laws about it? Because it doesn't exist. It's just, yeah. And people it's with Christians, it's just to kind of decide to not see it. It feels very much like they kind of shut their eyes to it, and then they give you like these things that they think make sense and prove a point, and you're like, that doesn't prove anything at all.
No, and then you get the misogynists in chat when we're talking about things like this, like Paper Mittens, who says women always have to appeal to men for rights and we enforce them. Seems pretty benevolent to me. Aw, you're so benevolent, Paper Mittens. Aw, we should all kiss your ass. Aw, we should all suck your dick. No, Paper Mittens, that's not true. And, you wouldn't even fucking have life if it weren't for women. Oh, you just called me sweetie. You can go fucking suck a dick. You don't get to come up on my, you don't get to come up on my live and be a fucking misogynistic pig to me personally. You don't get to disrespect me on my show. You can go talk to your mom and all the women who you're trying to fuck and talk to them like that. Maybe they like it, but I'm not into that shit. Get the fuck out of here with that.
So many little men having emotional meltdowns.
I'm not going to have a discussion with a man who starts the discussion by calling me sweetie. No, I'm not going to do that. Okay, go fuck your wife. I don't care that you're married and you have 3 kids. I don't know what that has to do with any fucking thing. Don't pretend that you're not out there trying to get laid on the side, because we know you are. All you Christian men are doing some kind of fuck shit to your wives. Exactly, Diane. Exactly. Yeah, it is very disrespectful to come up on a woman's live and call her sweetie in the chat. It's very disrespectful. And I'm in for having grown-up discussions, but when you come in with a misogynistic attitude from the very beginning, telling me that you're somehow fucking benevolent to women, one, that tells me that you are a person whose morals are based on might makes right. And anybody whose morals are based on might makes right, they don't really understand how detrimental that is to them and society. Many, 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 many really strong men have been, poisoned. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't have to have strength to defeat you, sir. The fact that you guys don't educate yourself, all we have to do is be smarter than you. And most women are.
It's crazy how many men have not heard of aqua tofana. Crazy. Crazy. Like, I mean, we know like there's this whole Roman Empire thing. You're like, really? You guys are thinking about like Jesus and the Roman Empire, when really I would look into aqua tofana and a little bit of what women have done throughout history.
Somebody asked me a question about Dina. I'm sorry, let me find it here. Oh, where did it go? I might have missed it, but what do you think happened to Dina after she was taken home? I think, frankly, that we weren't meant to know because it was never about her. Like, they only used her and that story so that they would have a reason to be violent, right? To and they didn't. If you notice, they want Jacob's hands to be clean of this violence while still being violent. So Jacob kind of doesn't really do anything, even though this is all happening under his roof. Okay. He knows what's going on. Right. So, I think the point was it didn't matter what happened to her. In reality, if she was real in that situation, I'm sure that they would have sold her off somehow or something, you know? It's really weird to me too how many men like Paper Mittens there just absolutely hate women. Adina is Dinah from the Bible, but her actual name is pronounced Dina in Hebrew. Americans pronounce it Dinah. I love how they also think triggered is some kind of word that will suddenly make us all cry or something. Like, I don't even know what they think triggered means. It's so funny because this man came in here fucking losing his shit from the very beginning, and then he's calling us triggered. And I think that is just hilarious. It's in chapter 34 of Genesis. Oh no, I didn't cry. I just told you you're not coming up on my live. I have boundaries and you don't like boundaries, and you don't like boundaries from women because you're not used to any of your submissive little bitches having boundaries. They'll do anything you want for you because your might makes right.
He's proving exactly the point of what I was saying about men rewriting history, because something happened. Everyone here saw it.
Yep.
And then now he's trying to rewrite it because he's unhappy with the place he was in. So now it's like laughing down, trying to put us down. But I mean, it's completely ridiculous. And it exactly proves the point that you guys rewrite things. I mean, it's not exactly helping the case for men.
Yeah, it's true. They do that even when they had an audience. It's true. And you know, I often wonder when they're doing this, like really psychologically, are they trying to convince us or are they actually just trying to convince themselves? Like, I feel like the gaslighting is because they're like, no, she's wrong. That can't be the way this all just went down. I must convince myself that I really was in the right and she really was in the wrong, and she's so triggered and so upset. Right? Like, we all saw it. Oh, I would have a discussion. I'm not having a discussion with somebody who is demeaning to me. I have boundaries. I respect myself. You don't respect yourself. That is why you worship a god like you do. You have no respect for yourself, for your wife, or your children.
I find it very funny that they use the word discussion, because you can't have a discussion when you don't have respect and treat the other person with respect, because a discussion is being okay with not convincing the person opposite you to believe the same thing you do. A debate where you're trying to be right or wrong and trying to prove your point is one thing where somebody has to win. But a discussion is, okay, I can prove my point and say this, and you can say this, and we can also agree that we don't agree, and that's fine. And we go away having learned and grown usually from discussion. But you don't start a discussion the way you did. Like the whole sentence of "let's discuss, sweetie," it's just the ridiculousness of it.
It's so
You're already
ridiculous.
saying you're incapable of discussing.
Absolutely. And you know what I also find really funny is that he thinks he's winning like something in here. He's like, this is so easy. You're all so mad. And he doesn't understand that the whole reason I'm continuing to engage and talk about him and about the things he's saying is because it boosts my engagement out on the FYP. And so in reality, I'm the one winning this whole fucking time. And I love it. He makes this too easy for me to earn free engagement. He doesn't like the fact that they don't even understand basic things like that. Like, oh shit, if I keep engaging in an atheist, feminist live, she wins. And I'm winning. I'm fucking winning and I love it. They do infantilize women all the time like we're children because they don't like talking to adults. They do. And they don't like boundaries and they don't like that I enforce them. And I love it that he's crashing out in my comments. And with every comment, I get, a little further boost into the FYP. And it just warms my heart, really. They cannot handle a woman that doesn't crumble into submission. That is for fucking sure. And just so you guys know, like, I still call out Doug for misogyny, and I still, Doug and I talk about things like this all the time because we were both indoctrinated. We were indoctrinated into Christianity. I was a far right wing, bigot. Hey, Katie. And I say that because deconstruction of your religion is only the beginning of your deconstruction, right? You have to deconstruct all these harmful things. So the other day, something came up at work for Doug, and I said, okay, well, like if, this happens, this thing that he thinks might happen at work. I said, just let him know that you're going to need some time to come home and talk to me about it. And then we'll, make a decision. And he said, I'm not going to tell him that I'm talking to my wife about it. Men don't do that. I said, the fuck? I said, you're being a misogynist right now. He goes, what? I go, I don't care whether other men say that they talk to their wives or not. You're not going to not say it because other men don't say it. I said, everybody talks to their spouse or their partner when they make big decisions, and people who don't have poor communication within their, relationship. And there is nothing wrong when you're making a big decision on business or whatever to say, and this would actually affect a lot of things in our personal life, this decision. So there is absolutely nothing wrong with saying, I'm going to talk to my wife about this. And he said, you're right. You're right. Just because other men don't say that shouldn't mean I don't say that, because I do talk to you about these things. And I said, then, you let him know. Oh no, please keep giving Paper Mittens all the attention he needs. Keep talking to him. Keep telling him shit, because the more he responds to you, the more it boosts my life out. He's literally helping the atheist feminist movement. And I just want to thank you, Paper Mittens, for your engagement. Thank you so much for furthering Auntie Sermons, the podcast. I also just finished the book, so the paperback will be available soon. And I'm going to do something, I should finish the workbook pretty soon too. So there will be a companion workbook to the podcast, and it's like a color workbook. So you could color while you're listening to the podcast. And keep engaging with little paper dick down there. Okay, you guys? How's everybody over on YouTube doing? Did you guys all leave me because I didn't let Paper Mittens up here to debate me? I do think this is how he treats women. See, it is. He literally said this is how he treats women in his real life. This is how he treats his wife, his mother, and his daughters. Those young ladies do not have a chance.
And men wonder why they're ending up lonely. Just
Yeah.
can't.
Right? It's just so crazy to me. The loneliness epidemic. Oh, poor you. Poor you. And he's a proud colonizer, too. He's a proud colonizer, a proud misogynist. He's just proud to be an asshole. And that's good. You should be. You go be proud. You're probably proud to be white, too, huh?
I'm so for men doing this on public platforms and announcing out loud who they are, because it's going to make it so much easier to figure out who to avoid. I mean,
I know,
go
right?
on, continue doing it, because you guys are outing yourselves. And yeah, it's fun to watch. It really is.
It is. Kelly says, I'm teaching my husband daily about misogyny and patriarchy. He's coming around and can keep men accountable. And I think that's important. Like, here's the thing. Deconstructing from Christianity meant that a lot of the people I love are Christians. My whole, family, community. And a lot of times people are like, you need to cut every single person out of your life that is a bigot, a racist, a misogynist, or whatever. But if they're deconstructing, I'm not going to do that. Especially, like, for instance, I'm not cutting any of my immediately family out of my life because I indoctrinated them. I'm the reason. I did that. I'm the one who dug in the kids, kicking and screaming into all of Christianity. So as they deconstruct it, I want to help them deconstruct the horrible things that I allowed to be a part of their lives due to this religion. I'm not going to just like toss the baby out with the bathwater. You know what I mean? So yeah, I have no intention of leaving Doug if he still has misogyny, because he's willing to unlearn all those things, and he has changed so significantly over the last 10 years or so, as well as I have. So and it's all been for the better, right? Now, if a person obviously is a bigot and a racist and a misogynist, like, oh, Paper Dick down there in the comments, well then I probably would cut them out of my life, because he shows no desire to want to change, to be a better person, to be more loving, more acceptable. He just shows so much hatred and vitriol. So, like, a person like him, I probably would cut out of my life. I don't even know what that means. It's not the 1980s anymore, Helga. What the fuck does that even mean, you guys? They just say stupid shit in the chat. It just cracks me up. I don't even know what that means, dude. I think that people should try to be better people, because one, we know that if we are trying to be better, kinder, more loving, less volatile, less angry, less reactive, then we have better outcomes, right? And we have better interpersonal relationships. When we have better interpersonal relationships, that often creates a more cohesive community. And eventually that can spread out into the larger world, the world at large. So it makes society better as a whole. And for me, I just want to live in a good society, and I want the people who come after me to have a better society than I had, a better world than I had. I want it to be better. Now, if that's not your goal, if your goal is to be a piece of shit and live your life shitty and treat people shitty and be selfish and narcissistic, then you're probably already reaching your goal. You go off, queen. All right, Rainbow Ash. Thanks for being here. Love you. Anyway, keep tapping the screen, sharing out the live. We are only at 28,000 likes. I know there's only 15 of you in here, and but if you can keep tapping the screen, sharing out the live, do the good things. Send me your heart me if you haven't. Collect your team points. Also, don't forget, if you're not subscribed to me over on YouTube, go do so. I'm trying to get my watch hours up over there and my subscribers up over there. And if you haven't, go follow me wherever you listen to podcasts. My podcast is called Auntie Sermons, AUNTIE. And it's all about decentering men and asking the women of the Bible to step up and take the mic. We're going chronologically, methodically through the Bible and giving a sermon for every woman, named or unnamed. And I've written all the ones for Genesis now. And so I am recording those and getting those up for you in the podcast and doing some bonus episodes for you by expanding some of the older episodes. But yeah, I want to be the most evil person alive, says AJP-12E over on YouTube. So if you guys, want to know who is aspiring to be the most evil person alive, that would be AJP-12E. Okay, well, you're going to have to compete with Elon Musk for that position because I think it's pretty fucking evil to be a fucking trillionaire in this day and age. Yay, our community just teared up. Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I also have a little gift goal here. If you can contribute to the gift goal, that is awesome. Normally, when we reach the gift goal, I stay live an extra hour. I can't today, but I'm very I keep track of these things, and I will go an extra hour live for you later if we meet the gift goal. If we don't, that's okay too. Just remember, your gifts actually do support this show. That's how I was able to upgrade my equipment. It's how I'm able to do so many things. If you'd like to support the show, check out the link in my bio for ways you can support the show. And just remember, all your gifts and everything go towards supporting the show so I can produce the podcast and, write books for you and go live and do all the things. But we are just not getting believers up today, and I'm not talking to Puff Mittens or whatever the fuck his name was.
So where are the Christians?
It's been like this on a lot of lives lately too. Sometimes they'll have 500 people, and like Mezzo will have sometimes like 500 people in there, and he'll go like a good 45 minutes without anybody coming up. But I can't play the piano or anything for you like he does. I mean, I could pretend. I could probably get a self-playing keyboard here and pretend that I'm playing that.
You already do the music and everything. Like, you have your song, so I mean, you could always do some lip syncing along to them.
I could do that. I could do that. Look at, I think little Paper Mittens left because he realized he was giving me engagement, and that's how you get them to leave without booting them. I love reminding them that they're helping me.
And I think it's crazy how they think it's going to actually get them brought up, and also insane how many adult men don't know how to recognize emotions because they're, oh, you're so mad.
I didn't show any anger, right? Where? I think you're ridiculous.
We're talking, I'm cooking my chicken and listening and where?
Yep. It's also amazing how middle school bully they all act too. they'll say something to antagonize you and then go, see, it's so easy to antagonize you. And you're like, why are you trying to? Like, why is that your goal today, to just come up and antagonize people? My topic is not instigating anybody. I'm not coming after you. I mean, do you know how many atheists have topics up there that say things like God is a sick fuck? Mine just says, I'm an atheist. What's on your mind? And you want
know.
to fight me over that?
It's the most mellow one, and it opened to discussion. And the three, like, he didn't come up, but like the two other who came up before you started your Auntie sermon were just so mad about it. You're like, why?
Yeah.
What in the world?
So
And
you
you're
don't
saying
got
you're
any
atheist?
morals.
Our apes should live in society. I'm like, the poor gorillas, they would not want to be here. What are you talking about?
What are you talking about? Why are you asking me to bring a gorilla into my home? What? God, what are you talking about?
The lack of education. Oh, they're evolving. No, they're not. They evolved into gorillas and chimps and whatever else they did. We evolved into humans.
And they're still evolving, to be fair, but they're not evolving into us. They're evolving into
No.
whatever they will evolve into. And we're going to evolve into what we evolve into. What are you talking about? Like, what are you talking? And I think that a lot of times what they want to do is they want to say something like, if you believe we are all animals, then what is your justification for caging any of them or eating any of them? And guess what? I don't think I have a good justification. I talk about it all the time. I am slowly but surely moving further and further vegetarian. I don't know that I could ever be vegan. I've said that before too, because I like milk and dairy products, but at least I wouldn't be killing an animal. And where I live, I can get it from small dairy farmers who do it ethically.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I think even if you're consuming meat and everything, I'm trying to start looking at like where I get it, how much I consume of it, how this animal was treated, how are we using the whole animal? Because it's just the amount of waste and the way we're going about it. I'm like, okay, we're omnivorous, so we've fine, but what we're doing and how we're going about it, where we're making it's to the point where we're making the animals and our own food sick. What are we doing? We do not need to be like consuming this way. It makes no sense. It's just, so
I guess I am a poultarian, which is somebody who prefers to eat just chicken and fish. And so I used to eat like all kinds of meat, but slowly, like I started doing. I can't say I never eat any other kind of meat. It's just very, very rare. And for some reason though, lately I've been craving hamburgers. I go through these stages where I crave something really, like over and over again, and then I don't eat it again for years or whatever. I don't know what that is, but I have been looking at all of the different vegan options or vegetarian options, and there's just so many now that I think I'm going to try some other forms of hamburgers, because apparently I like hamburgers. But other than that, I eat mostly fish and chicken.
Some of those vegan hamburgers, like, they're really good and they're juicy. And I tried it with my kid. Like, I served them once, and I only told them once they had finished that it wasn't actual meat. And they were like, if you hadn't told me, I wouldn't have known.
Mm-hmm.
And this summer, I tasted these merguez, which are these spicy sausages, which are traditionally from Tunisia and Morocco. And they're usually, I'd never tasted any vegan option because the ones I had tasted, which were sausages and stuff, just I didn't like that much. This one, I was like, I would have been fooled, and I would buy this and eat this. So that's more like I'm trying to integrate it more where it's also there's so many products where you won't miss meat.
Yeah.
I'm not against eating it. I just think it should be done in like a certain way. I'd rather buy from like somebody who has their own animals, who is going to like unalive one and then sell the whole entire thing, or buy bigger quantities, keep it and just consume that, which makes sense, rather than participate in like this industry of it.
Yeah. And and these Christians come up here and they try to do this one topic thing of like, well, if you're an atheist, then what about this thing? Like, you should be a vegetarian, maybe, is what their thing is, right? But I don't think they understand the immense amount of wrong teaching that Christianity did to our brain, right? And that those neural pathways are now in my brain, right? And to deconstruct each portion, I have to recreate new neural pathways. I am relearning so many things. And it started with bigger things to me than whether I should be a vegetarian or not. It started with, oh, maybe I shouldn't be a fucking bigot. Maybe I should fucking start right there. Maybe there's things like racism and stuff that are instilled in me due to my religious upbringing. And maybe that's a little bit more important, that I tear down those things inside of me instead of whether I should eat chicken or not. You know what I mean? And eventually all those other things I can deconstruct too. And I am deconstructing some of those things. I don't know where I stand on it right now. I know that slowly but surely I've been eating a lot less meat. And even my daughter will tell you, even when I eat chicken, she'll make me a chicken breast. And most of the time, I only eat about half of that chicken breast, and I eat more of the, vegetables and stuff that she's prepared, because I don't know, I just don't enjoy it like I used to. And I think it has to do with my deconstruction. One of the things I saw recently was somebody makes a burger out of sorghum, which is Milo. It's often grown as livestock feed in the US. And that thing looked so fucking good. The way they do it is they almost like ferment it or something. And then, hey, Dugald, good to see you. Slay the day. Anybody wants to come up, the guest box is open. And that one, and it does something when they ferment it or something that made it like, when they cook it, it looks juicy and it has a lot of seasoning in it. I don't know. It looked good. I might have to find it and try it, because it
That
really
sounds
did.
good.
Yeah. It looked yummy. But I just think that they don't even, there is nothing they're trying to do to improve as a human being. And they want to come and point out like a one issue with an atheist and say, you as an atheist should think this is the most important issue. Like, you should take bonobos into your home.
I mean, just first, most Christians that I've heard do not understand what an atheist is. It feels like their mind is like, it's not an option in their world to understand it, because I'm on Jonathan's live, who, yes, is an archbishop, but is very much anti-religion, preaches about love, is like the Bible is basically bullshit. Yes, there's some nice passages, but most of it is absolute crap, but there are also very nice passages in other books and everything. So he obviously gets a lot of people who do not like that opinion, and they will come up and they'll think either we're atheists and their first thing is, oh, you're atheist, you are Satanists. Listen, we don't believe in that one either.
I know. I got that in chat first thing this morning. It's like, oh, so you're atheist? So you worship Satan? No, pumpkin, I don't believe in Satan. That's the whole thing, So
There's no option for that. It's because you don't believe. You're obviously Satan got you. He's like, no, that oh.
And then you have like the ones that go from live to live to live. and they repeat the same thing. And what you realize at no point, I think for the most part, okay, and I think that a lot of the atheist creators that are up here, while many of us are up here so we can interact with Christians, so that people who are deconstructing can see how horrific it is. We know we're not deconstructing the person we're talking to most of the time. Okay. Does that happen? Yeah, it does happen. But we know there's people in the audience who are listening like I was and who are deconstructing, and they need to hear some of these truths, right? But we also kind of want to learn, right? Like we want to learn better argumentation. We want to know if we're wrong about something. We want to better society. We want us to engage in discourse so that we can improve, right? They don't want to. I have listened, and I said this yesterday. It's just that I saw her again last night, and I can't stop thinking about it. Hey, Ben, good to see you. Hoping this Christian Hoping has been going from live to live to live, and I feel like she must be writing a book or something, right? Because the way she's psychoanalyzing every single atheist as she meets with them, it's, I don't know, it's too much. But she will ask them all, like, so why did you leave Christianity? And somebody shares their story with her. And for instance, like the other night, she was on with Mezzo and Joel, and they both gave her very thoughtful, explanations. And shortly thereafter, she goes, oh, so church hurt, and that wasn't anything they said. It wasn't remotely close to what they said. And when they were like, and everybody in chat, we were all getting pissed. We were like, what the fuck did she listen to anything they said? We're like cussing her out in chat and stuff, right? But then she goes to the next live and she does the same thing. And then what she says is, well, I've talked to a plethora of atheists and so many of them have left due to church hurt. What are you talking about? I've seen you on these lives. Nobody has told you church hurt. So you're not trying to learn from us. You're not trying to understand us. You don't actually want to hear. You have a narrative in your mind and you're looking for some confirmation bias and you haven't been given it. And so you just replay the lie in your head and you gaslight yourself.
It's crazy. Yeah. That thing that they do where it's like they confirm through using the same thing. It's not doing anything. You're using the same thing that you're making the argument for to confirm your argument. No, you need something that's external from that for us to like take it any kind of serious way. And that just does not compute. Completely refuse to. And then they'll kind of either try to change the subject.
Yeah.
Or they'll start getting aggressive.
Yes.
Or they'll just drop.
Yeah, or just run away.
What the frick to do with it anymore.
They do like to just run away.
It's extremely sad, I find, because I understand that we're in a world where things are not just going to disappear. And there's going to have to be places where we're able to bridge and find, okay, we don't agree on this, but this we can have in common and go forward. And for that, we do need discussion. And it's crazy because the number of Christian people that I've been able to have a discussion with are just, I could probably count them on the fingers of my hands. Just thinking off my head, I can think of two, which are Ensign and Father Mark. Apart from that, where I've been able to have like a discussion where there's respect and I'm hearing you, maybe we don't agree, but we are able to discuss things, find points in common and go away from it feeling like we're enriched or, we haven't torn each other to bits and we don't agree, but that's fine. I just find it sad. It's just, and then thinking that this is what this religion does to you. And the way you're going about it and believing in it and taking these things, this is the effects it's having. Yeah. No, it's just, There's something so wrong with that.
Absolutely. It's, I don't know. It's just crazy. Thank you for all the shares, Amanda. I appreciate it. And you guys, thank you so much for all the gifts, all the likes, all the shares. I think if we don't get a guest in here, I'm going to change the subject for a few minutes. If we don't get a guest in here pretty soon, then what I'm going to do is, nope, not that one. Okay. Then what I'm going to go ahead and do is end today, and maybe I'll try to go live this weekend for y'all, but I'll probably eat some lunch, I guess, before I do my therapy. Have a lot to talk about in therapy this week. Many of you know that I go in Tuesday for a hysteroscopy. There is a very small chance that I could have uterine cancer, so they want to rule that out. And I also had to put my my buddy George down this week. He was my little buddy for 16 years, and I fucking loved him to death. I have a lot of mixed emotions about George because you want to know what else? Something I've deconstructed. This one's a hard one to admit live. So I think that when you're a Christian, I think that most Christians don't treat animals right. I think that we think that we have dominion over them and that they have to do our bidding and da 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 da, you know. And I owned George mostly when I was a Christian. It wasn't until his last few years of his life that I had deconstructed. And I just feel like he could have had a better life if I hadn't been a Christian when I owned him. So I got to talk to her about that, right? Because that's part of my grief. That's part of the pain. I feel like I could have loved him better if I hadn't been a Christian, because I wouldn't have felt that I had dominion over him. I would have felt that he was my friend. I know dogs are so forgiving, but it doesn't make it right that, that, I don't know. You know what I'm saying. And I know he loved me. And I know he could have had it worse. Trust, I know that too. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. But it doesn't change the things that I feel about my relationship with him. I think that as a Christian, a lot of times you think, I don't know, like, I think you think it's okay to have a pet when you actually can't afford to have a pet. Because a pet means there's going to be vet bills. But we're taught that we are, like, superior to them, so it doesn't matter, right? And so many Christians take pets in that they can't afford, that they can't, don't even get me started on the foster care system with Christianity and the adoption, with real children too. Like, that goes into a whole different thing. But I'm just saying, for me, it's just something I want to talk to her about. Plus, I have so many other things I want to talk to her about. Like, I'm really excited for my new show. I'm really excited for my new, to me, this is a new show. It's a new layout. It's a new thing, right? And it comes to, because of my OCD, it comes with a lot of self-sabotage because of me over, analyzing everything and stuff. So, well, thank you, Amanda. I like to do different eye looks all the time. And I'm learning how to do fake eyelashes. Like, I'm not good at it. Okay. And I admit it. And I'm not good at eyebrows, but I don't have any. So sometimes they look really drawn on, and sometimes they look like they're fighting each other.
I think you look wonderful today. That's why when I came here, I was like, "Oh, you look beautiful."
Aw, thank you so much.
I think with the glasses, the fake eyelashes and the color looks really good.
Well,
Really, really good.
thank you. Great live, sending you good vibes for your procedure, that you have awesome people that give you some comfort. Thank you so much, Farrah. I have okay, so here, okay, so I'll just do a little therapy with you before we leave for today. I'll tell you guys, what's on my mind. Another thing is having OCD and being a Christian. I have a trouble saying certain things out loud. Because as a Christian, you are taught that your words are magical, right? Like, right? I don't know if you guys were taught that, but I was taught that I could say something. Now, come on, people out there who manifest, who were Christians that manifest, you know what I'm talking about. If you set it out into the ether, it could come true, right? So if you wanted healing for something, you need to verbalize that healing. You need to just say it. You need to send it out to God and the universe, right? In the same respect, if you said something negative, that could fucking happen too, right? So if I wished death on somebody, they could die. And it would be my fault because I fucking said that shit, right? So after deconstructing, I realized, obviously, my words don't actually have that kind of power, because if they did, I'd have $1 million right now in my hand, and I don't, right? So, but a part of my OCD can't get past that. And so there are things that I need to talk about with my therapist, like things like that have to do with fears. And I can't say them out loud. Like sometimes it's very hard for me to even allude to what my fear is, because like part of my brain goes, if you say it, that bad thing will happen. And that's really hard when you're going through therapy and you have OCD and your brain's telling you that, because it's like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? I need to talk to somebody about this, and I can't because my OCD thinks that it'll come true. So I have to talk about that with her today, because the procedure, I'm going to say it out loud. You guys, the procedure is happening at a hospital I'm afraid of. I'm scared of this hospital. But I fucking love my doctor. The surgeon is amazing. Actually, if I could have him for my general practitioner, I would, in a heartbeat. He is the most amazing doctor I've ever had for anything in my entire life. He's just the best. But
I mean, that's what's going to count. Like the person who's doing it and is going to be looking after you is going to be like taking care of your health afterwards, during. If you trust your doctor that way, you know, the hospital is secondary. I also get this thing about saying things. And I think being on live and saying it on these types of platforms, it really helps. Not for the same reasons, but for years, I had trouble saying what I was scared of, or what I may have done wrong or didn't feel confident about. I was just so scared of being judged. I was so scared of not being the way I was supposed to be because of my autism. And I started pushing myself to say things, not even when people who needed to hear, but just to say it. And it really makes a difference. It really does. And when you start off, it feels like you're never going to get past it. But the more you do so, the more it really does help. So you're really doing exactly what you need to be doing.
And I know that that's important for OCD, right? Like I know that, in case you don't know that, the best way to treat OCD is by forcing people who have OCD to get over their OCD. For instance, if I have to tap the door 7 times before I walk through a doorway, the best way for me to get over that is to start walking through doorways without doing the tapping. Okay. You have to break those rituals, okay, if you will. And so the best way for me to get over those fears is for me to actually say the thing. So I will say that even though I had this fear, you guys, there's a whole like maybe 20 people listening tops. I don't know, 10 on TikTok, and I don't know how many on YouTube. I can't see, but a few over on YouTube. You and Doug, I have been able to say that I am scared of this hospital. And that's a big step for me. Just saying I'm scared of the hospital, that's a big step for me. So, and he knew I was scared of this hospital, but I needed to tell him because we have joked a lot about this like we will jokingly say, like if he goes, well, I don't want to do that because I don't want to fall off the ladder or something like that. I'll say, don't worry, I'll take you to that hospital. Oh, thanks. And so we have joked about it a lot, like that we're going to take each other to that hospital. And so I needed to let him know that I couldn't even have him joke about it right now. Like we can't joke about this right now because that's how serious my fear is. Right. And so he was like, well, I'm really glad you told me. And I won't joke about it with you because I know how scared I would be too, like, about certain things. And I wouldn't want you joking with me about them. And Amanda, I can say things to myself. I think I can. I don't know. I don't know that I could say certain things out loud at all. I don't know. I don't think I've ever, since I already am saying it in my head, I don't know if I've ever tried to say it out loud. That would be hard, I think, for me, even to say it to first of all, I also don't like to talk to myself in a mirror. You know how they'll tell you to go do like affirmations in a mirror? I feel so weird and fake when I'm doing that. So it's very hard for me to talk to myself in a mirror. I don't know if I could. That's a good question. I have no idea if I could say my fears out loud to myself. And I don't know if I want to yet. But I will talk about that with my therapist and see what she says. It's also hard to admit fear and failure because it makes you vulnerable. It is, Rainbow Ash. It's really hard. And I try to be very vulnerable with all of you when I'm live and stuff. And I do that because I think that if we did let down our guard and we were more vulnerable with each other, we could learn from each other better and understand each other better. And so I try to be as vulnerable as I can and as real as I can with you guys when I am live. It's tough to have that internal dialogue spoken out. It is, Anthony. It's really hard. It's really hard. Aw, silly goose. I love you. I love you. Thank you. That's very sweet. He says, damn, Crystal, you got me so emotional today. Wonderful thoughts going your way. Thank you so much. I'm an emotional person. I don't know if I told you guys this yet, but I cry at my own sermons and songs. Okay. I have people text me, oh my God, I listened to Abelina Ballerina today and I was just crying. And I think, oh yeah, I cry when I hear that song too. So do you guys want to cry and hear Abelina Ballerina before I go?
Yes.
All right. I don't have a soundboard yet. It is easier with a parasocial relationship, Ash. But I'll play it right here and see if you guys can hear it. You guys, I'm going to play Abelina Ballerina for you. And then who can we raid after this? Who's live? Is Ace live? I like to raid women whenever possible. Because, I'm a woman. And so I like to do that. Let me know in chat who's live. I'm going to go ahead and play this song for you. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day. I might go live this weekend. And you might see me sometimes, co-hosting with some of your friends in the evening now. So, keep an eye out for that. I won't lip sync, but I might.
Abelina ballerina, spinning in her tutu. All the world's a stage, lacing up her ballet shoes. Abelina ballerina, they applaud as you dance. You're so precious, little angel. Dance away if you can. Abelina ballerina, wooden floor counting time. In the mirror, she's a swan, arabesque in pink tights. Abelina ballerina, sitting still in a pew. Preacher says that light you feel doesn't really come from you. They tell her every step is borrowed, her plie heaven sent, and for every bow she's taken, she's got something to repent. Abelina ballerina, stand still, don't twirl, it's your fault if they're not holy, so be a good little girl. Abelina ballerina, preacher says, let us pray, closes the door so no one hears, calls it a special game. He says this is guidance, says she's holy, full of grace, claims God needs her silence, blessed are those that obey. Abelina ballerina, the light has left her eyes, she no longer hears the music, and her steps are out of time. Abelina ballerina, remember how you twirled, who's to blame if they're not holy, you're still just a little girl. Abelina ballerina, stand still, don't twirl, it's your fault if they're not holy, so be a good little girl. Abelina ballerina, those aren't butterflies you feel, life grows heavy inside your child, there's no way to conceal, they say her name like a warning, obedience her only crime, while he preaches purity, taking them for every dime. Abelina ballerina learns what judgment costs, learns who gets forgiven and who pays the loss. Abelina ballerina learns to mother through the ache, learns that love can still be sacred even after what they take. She devours her education and her eyes begin to shine, music pours out from within her and her steps fall back in time. She reads the words they cherry picked, preaches truth they try to hide, she interrogates the God, she uncovers every lie, she shows why nothing ever changes, who the system benefits, men of God who feed on power, abuse, shame, and the grift. Abelina ballerina, show me how you twirl, spinning in the sunlight, dancing with your little girl. Abelina ballerina, dancing center stage again. Abelina ballerina, dancing barefoot in the sun, you're so precious, little angel, and your dance has just begun.
Y'all go and raid somebody. Tell them that Crystal loves them, and I will see you around the mean streets of TikTok and YouTube. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Love you.